Welcome back everyone to another video. This is Mindy Eggen, and in today's video we are going to be creating a simple hello there card using this adorable image, Cottontail Wishes from Tailored Expressions. Here's a look at the products that I will be using, including Sugar Cube, Oreo, and Toffee cardstock. I also have the rough draft background, the stitched mini slimline, and this is the Cottontail Wishes red rubber stamp. I will also be using some of the pearl pigment powder, and that was like a sparkle embossing powder, but I grabbed that on accident. I will be using white embossing powder. I also have foam squares, my tweezers, some Scotch adhesive. I will be using Sugar Cube ink, which is a pigment ink, and also the Oreo ink, and some VersaMark for my heat embossing, and there is my white embossing powder. And then to do the coloring of my image, I will be using a handful of Copic markers, and I will have all of the colors listed at the top of the screen for when I do the coloring of the image. I'm first going to stamp my image. Now I have a lot of cardstock off on the side that I already have pre-cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And so to fit this on that piece of cardstock, I'm going to stamp this diagonally. So I just loaded that into my MISTI tool. I made sure to remove that insert because this is a mounted stamp. And then I'm going to stamp this in the Oreo ink. And I just press that down, and I'm going to stamp it one more time just to make sure I have some really clean, crisp lines. Then I can start working on the Copic coloring of the image. So I did leave in some of the coloring, the flowers and leaves I kind of left off screen because I didn't really do a lot to them. But for the bunny, I decided to go with some really light browns, and I have E44, 43, 42, and 41. I work in sections when I do my Copic coloring. So here I started with the head, and I have the light source being kind of down the center of the head. So my darkest color is on the outside. Then for the arms, I put that shadow area and the underneath part of the arm, and then where anything might cast a shadow, like the bow might cast a shadow, or maybe around that foot that's sticking out. So that's where I added a kind of a darker line. And it is a little bit tricky to see where his other foot is, but I just took my time. I know I sped the video up, but I did really take a look at the image on where the leg is, and then just blend it out with all of those colors. For the ears, I'm going to be using R85, 83, and 81. I added that darkest area to that furthest inside of the ear and then blended out with the lighter colors. And I did kind of flick that lightest color into the brown a little bit just to help that blend. And then I'm using a YG combination for the bow because that tied in the greens of my wreath. And then I just used that coordinating die to die cut it out. And now I will work on the background, and this is going to be using the rough draft background. Now this is a piece of Toffee cardstock that I had cut down. Don't mind the back of that. I was doing some ink blending that didn't work. So when I had my background in my MISTI, I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my cardstock, and then I flipped my MISTI over, and that just helps me place my paper where I want it on that background. And then I'm going to ink this up in Sugar Cube ink. So I'm kind of taking a little trick, taking a trick here from Heather because I really liked the look. I thought the Toffee cardstock was just perfect for this background. It wasn't too bright. I didn't have any crazy patterns or colors going on, so the image could be the focus of the card. Now I'm taking this pearl pigment powder from Tailored Expressions. I put a little bit onto my craft mat, mix that with water, and I'm just splattering this all over the background just to add a little bit of interest to that. I want to foam mount my image to the card, so I'm putting some foam squares on the back, and then a little trick I do with my foam squares is I need some skinny ones. So I leave it on that sheet and just trim right down the center of it, and then I can lift them off with my tweezers and just put them in those small areas that I need to. So now you'll notice that I did take that Toffee panel and I added it to a card front that I die cut using the stitched mini slimline. I just really think these are a cute size and just something really refreshing and different to make for card sizes. So after I remove the backing of my foam adhesive and attached it to the card front, I'm just trimming off any of that excess that's hanging off on the sides. And I heat embossed a sentiment off of the Cottontail Wishes stamp set, and I did this on the Oreo cardstock in white embossing powder and just trimmed it down with my paper trimmer. And then I'm just adding foam squares to the back and a little bit of tape runner to one end so that it is flush with my image. And then once it comes into focus here, I'm trying to show you a close-up of what that pigment powder looks on the background. So it is a very subtle, but it's a really pretty shimmer that is added to that toffee background. So I just really love how that came out. That finishes off my card. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.